The explanation of the causes of the disharmony in the functioning of the transformation of their first being food, or as they themselves would say, with the causes of the spoiling of their stomachs. For the disharmony of this function of theirs, there were, and now still are, several definite causes, comprehensible even to the reason of ordinary, normal, three-brained beings. But the chief and fundamental cause is that from the very beginning of the formation of their community, they gradually got accustomed, owing to all kinds of established surrounding conditions and influences proceeding from authority, which happened to be formed of itself abnormally, and they are now already thoroughly accustomed never to use for their first being food anything fresh whatsoever, but to use exclusively only products already decomposed. At the present time, the beings of this group almost never consume for their first being food any edible product, which still retains all those active elements put into every being by Great Nature herself as an indispensable requisite for taking in power for normal existence. But they preserve, freeze, and essensify beforehand all those products of theirs and use them only when most of these active elements required for normal existence are already volatilized out of them. And this abnormality proceeded in the ordinary process of being existence of the three-brained beings who have taken your fancy, in this instance, in the case of this new group, and continues to be spread and to be fixed everywhere there. Also, of course, in consequence of the fact that subsequent to the time when they, that is to say, when all the three-brained beings in general of that planet of yours had ceased to actualize in themselves the indispensable being efforts, there was then gradually destroyed in them the possibility for the crystallization in their common presences of those being data, thanks to which, even in the absence of the guidance of true knowledge, the maleficence for themselves of any of their manifestations can be sensed instinctively. In the present case, if only a few of these unfortunates possessed the instinct proper to three-brained beings, they might then, if only thanks merely to the habitual accidental being associations and confrontations, first themselves become aware, and afterwards inform all the rest, that as soon as the prime connection with common nature of any product in general serviceable as a first being food is severed, then no matter if this product be kept completely isolated, that is to say, hermetically sealed, frozen, or essensified, it must, like everything else in the universe, change its form and decompose according to the same principle and in the same order in which it was formed. Here you should know concerning the active elements from which all cosmic formations are in general formed by nature, both those subject to transformation through the tetartocosmoses, and which are the products of the first food of beings, as well as in general all other completely spiritualized and half-spiritualized arisings, that as soon as the corresponding time arrives, these active elements, in whatever conditions they may be found, obligatorily begin separating in a certain order of succession from those masses in which they were fused during the trogo-autoegocratic process. And the same, of course, proceeds with those products so dear to the American beings, which they preserve in what are called hermetically sealed cans. However hermetically these cans of products may be sealed, as soon as the time of, so to say, disintegration arrives, the corresponding active elements infallibly begin to separate from the whole mass, and these active elements, thus separated from the whole mass, group themselves as a rule according to their origin in these hermetically sealed cans, in the form of drops or small bubbles, which, so to say, dissolve immediately the cans are opened for the consumption of these products, and, volatilizing into space, are dispersed to their corresponding places. The beings of this continent do sometimes consume fresh fruit, but as for these fruits of theirs, they cannot be said to be fruits, but simply and solely, as our dear teacher would say, freaks. By means of the trees existing in abundance on this continent, little by little various scientists of new format have succeeded with their wiseacrings in making of these American fruits at the present time just, so to say, a feast for the eye, and not a form of being nourishment. The fruits there are now already so formed as to have within them scarcely anything of what was foreordained by great nature to be consumed for the normal being existence of beings. These scientists of new format there are of course very far from apprehending that when any surplanetary formation is artificially grafted or manipulated in any such fashion, it arrives in a state defined by objective science as absoizomosa, in which it absorbs from its surrounding medium cosmic substances, serviceable only for the coating of what is called its automatically self-reproducing subjective presence. The point is that from the very beginning of this latest contemporary civilization of theirs, it somehow so fell out among the beings of all the innumerable separate groups there, that of the 7 aspects of the fundamental commandment given to 3-brained beings from above, namely, strive to acquire inner and outer purity, the single aspect they selected, and in a distorted form have made their ideal, is that aspect which is conveyed in the following words: help everything around you, both the animate and the still inanimate, to acquire a beautiful appearance. And indeed, and especially in the last 2 centuries there, they have striven simply to attain a beautiful exterior. But of course, in regards to those various objects external to them themselves, which chanced in the given period to become, as they expressed it, fashionable, during this said period it has been of no concern to them whether any object external to them themselves has any substance whatsoever. All that was necessary was that it should have what they call a striking appearance. As regards the achievements of the contemporary beings of this continent in respect of actualizing the external beauty of these fruits of theirs, then indeed, my boy, I have nowhere seen, not only on the other continents of the same planet, but even on the other planets of that solar system, fruits so beautiful in appearance as those of the present time on this continent America. On the other hand, as regards the inner substance of these fruits, one can only use that favorite expression of our dear teacher, which consists of the following words: the greatest of all being blessings for man is the action of castor oil. And to what height they have carried their skill in making their famous preserves out of these fruits. As for this, as is said, neither tongue can tell nor pen describe. You have to see them for yourself to experience in your common presence the degree of the impulse of rapture to which one can be carried on perceiving with the organ of sight the external beauty of these American fruit preserves. Walking down the main streets of the cities of the